Welcome, welcome, welcome to RareMaven, the podcast. I'm your host, Kareemah, with RareMaven Media, and I'm with a really great guest. She's right on time, right in season, right? My fellow creatives out here getting ready to ideate. We have Nycole Key, and she's a therapist, yoga instructor, and the owner of the Expressive Self. She's here to help us get our creativity in order in a mindful way. Okay.
Yes.
And we have a lot to get into because we know how y'all gonna get in spring season. Y'all go y'all want to be out and about doing things. So Nycole is here to make sure we're mindful through that time throughout the year. So we get things done effectively and creatively. All right. Well, welcome, Nycole.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you and grateful. And it's like wellness is something big for Rare Maven, and I'm grateful that we can start off this season, which I do consider the new year. Very intentional, and intention of course goes with mindfulness. So I know you have so much in store for us to help us, and yeah, be well, be happy, and truly create without all the stress and the habit. So
Absolutely. I'm loving the combination of like mindfulness and creativity, because I think in order for you to be a creative, you do have to be more mindful, like in touch with yourself, but like also kind of in touch with the community and the world around you to kind of be that medium to express through. So I'm excited for tonight's conversation.
awesome. All right, well, let's get into it. So we have a lot of different questions now because we got an expert in here to help us get the keys this episode. So my first question is, as someone who does support being creative, who was the first person to help you understand your creativity?
Oh my gosh, that's a really great question. So I can't remember the individual's name, but I was in grad school and I was trying to pick my elective, and someone was like, well, why don't you take an expressive arts class? And the first thing out of my mouth was, I'm not really creative. And that person was kind of like, everyone's creative. Like absolutely every person on this planet is creative. You just have to be open-minded enough to kind of allow the creativity through. So I really took that in because no one had ever told me or really challenged the idea that I wasn't creative. So one of my professors, and they actually inspired me to go ahead and take that expressive arts class, and it just completely opened my eyes and my mindset on like what is allowed to be creative and kind of like the barriers that we put on our own minds.
I love that because I feel like we're in a generation where people are put in a box of the creatives, the STEM people, the doctors,
Love labels to me. Yeah.
and everybody has art is a creative. We come from a creator, for those who believe, we come from a creative being, creative source. So how could that not live in us? And so I'm that is like amazing. And I want to get into your childhood a little because did you ever experience feeling like you were creative since you said college? So
Yeah. So yes and no. I think a lot about nurturing. So in the work that I do, I work a lot with psychodynamic theory, which is essentially this like a theory that talks about how you are shaped. The person that you are going to become is completely shaped by your childhood, from the interactions you have with your parents, from the way that they speak to you, the things or the people in your environment. There's no way escaping being molded by that experience. So growing up, I had periods of time where like I dibbled and dabbled in creativity. I was a majorette. I did dance. I did flag. I took art classes. I played the cello. But I never really stuck to a particular thing. And one of the ways that I am maybe in my most truest form is through writing. Like right here to the left of me, I still have every journal I've ever owned from elementary up until like modern day. I still journal. So I would say that is probably the way my creativity comes out the most. I am a phenomenal writer in the most humble way possible.
Yeah, speak on me.
But other forms of
Mhm.
creativity, I always had this like mental block, like, oh, I can't paint, I can't draw. And I would venture into them, but I would never really stick to them.
Okay, well, again, the writing is the blueprint. That's how I call it. You have nothing without the story. The story affects how the artwork gonna look, how the
Mhm.
video gonna come out. It's like, what are you writing about? What is the story about? So you're a storyteller. I see. I told you, it's something. It's some medium. So, all right. Now tell us, what is the expressive self? And also just tell us where you come from, but where you from, and how did you actually get inspired to start this brand?
Absolutely. So I identify as an Atlanta native. I was born in Florida, but I moved from there when I was about 3 years old. So I've been in Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
my entire life. So I went to school on the southwest side of Atlanta. I went to Grady High School, which is now what is it? Midtown High. We had trailers when I went there, where they have like this new, like real regal building, which I love
Yeah.
that for them. We
Ah,
always want it better for the next generation, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but in terms of the expressive self, it really just came out of the internal work that I did. Grad
Mhm.
school was probably the toughest period in my human experience. I was a full time student. COVID had just hit. I was working, had very little time for myself, also interning, and I found myself like just overweight and unhappy. Like I wasn't
Mhm.
my body, I wasn't really moving my brain. And in the fall of 2021, I just like, I don't know, I just had this moment where I was like, something has to give. Like, I have to do
Mhm.
something. And I started to do yoga. Now,
Mhm.
I identify as an introvert. You know, I love being in my personal space. It's where I find that I'm maybe the most vibrant, I guess you
Mhm.
could say. So I'm doing yoga on my back porch, and I'm doing it at any point I can get it in. 11 o'clock at night, anywhere I can do it.
I hear that. That's what you gotta say. By any means necessary, because life be life is. So any means necessary. Go ahead.
Literally. And that perspective like really profoundly changed my mind. By any means necessary, I am going to connect with myself. And originally, like, while it was to kind of get through this depressive episode, it was also I guess kind of shallowly to be able to touch my toes. Like, I'd never been able to touch my toes. So I was just like, let me see what will happen if I try this thing consistently. And like, lo and behold, like, just doing a little bit every day just gave me this profound sense of like, I can do hard things. And then in yoga, you can, the purpose of yoga isn't to like be good at certain shapes or kind of do like all of the bendy things that you see on Instagram. But it can be a fun part of it. So, you
Yeah.
know, being creative with the shapes, being creative and creating sequences, all of that, very long-winded, brought me to getting my yoga certification. And along the way, I was getting my degree in social work. I was working for a Black female-owned private practice, and just being in those environments between yoga and school and the private practice really inspired me to, you know, what can I do with this creativity, and how many different ways can I bring like creative modalities and use them to help people connect with themselves. So the expressive self really came from my desire to help people reconnect with their bodies and open up their minds about what it means to be creative and how they can use expression to release depression and to work through trauma and to, you know, build their connection with their breath, their body, and all of these things.
So this is May, Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mhm.
And I really am so happy you got to share that. This is what this is about, with your journey through how to release, right? That's what I got out of that. And thank you for sharing your testimony, your journey, because that's where it starts. Like being that self awareness, going deep within, and now
Mhm.
being able to pour into others. So that's beautiful. And I can really say during that time frame that I don't know what it was. I feel like it was like an awakening season around that
No,
time.
seriously, like 2020 sparked something in us, and you can see
Yeah.
like from the different creativities that came out of it. And like shameless plug,
Mhm.
but what was it? Janae Aiko Chilombo came out in 2020.
Mm.
My definition of a perfect album, like it's completely well-rounded. And when you
Mm.
talk about like an experience of grief and letting go and being creative and experimenting, I think of that album, and I think of just like how a new way of being for all humans kind of came out of 2020. Even if you think
Yeah,
about the fact that we're sitting here doing a podcast virtually, I see my clients
exactly.
virtually, like I work
Mhm.
virtually, like just so many things
Mhm.
came out of that experience, even though it was incredibly difficult and
Yeah.
incredibly challenging.
Yeah. All right. That is beautiful. Chef's kiss on that one. All right. And with that, I want to know, tying into that, your advice and tips to creatives who now we're coming to spring season, and people have been maybe sitting on things they want to do. It's getting warm outside. You're seeing people on social doing things. Things
Yeah.
start coming to you, and now you feel you have the gumption to get it done.
Mhm.
So, what will be your advice on one, sticking and staying within your artistry, your realm, and two, staying well for the sake of wellness
Mhm.
above all? Mm-hmm.
I love that question. And I think kind of my answers will, I guess, like feed into both aspects of that question. But the two things that come to me is identifying your why. You're a business owner, but like when you're starting a business, you come up with this business plan. And the first thing they ask you to do is come up with your mission statement, your vision, and all of those things. And I think understanding what your why is essential. Because like you said, like we're in this digital age, and like you get on Instagram and you see so many people doing their businesses, especially if you're here in Atlanta. Okay, this is a hub.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of buzzing
That
going
part.
on. It's warmer, everybody's dropping their flyers, come to this event, come to that event, socializing. So understanding your why, like what is it that you're doing this for, and what is it that you're trying to give to people, and using that like as your anchor. Like at any point, if you get lost in the commotion, you have this why to come back to, which I just think is so essential. And
Mm-hmm.
I would attach that to doing the work that you give to others for yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
more specifically, taking time to come internally, spending time with yourself, moving your body. That's an essential one. But spending time connecting with you and disconnecting from those around you. And I guess a better way to say that is disconnecting from this technology around you, and
Yeah.
maybe connecting more with your community, like touching grass, touching your loved ones, but anything that kind of gets you back to your sense of self, and then returns you to, I guess, your personal why. So you might have your business based why, but what is your why of your humanness? Like, what is it that you believe that you are here for? And what is it about yourself that you like always want to be connected to and always want to be able to return to?
I love that. Coming the two whys, your business why, your personal why. And I love you, like you said, coming back to essentially like your essence, right?
Mhm.
So what makes you you? Because a lot of times we're in this, and we'll get to this, but we're in this whole realm of overstimulation, seeing so much at once, taking in so much at once, to
Yeah.
where it will cloud everything and desensitize us from who we really are. So I love that you said coming back to yourself, even like you said, from senses, touching stuff, feeling stuff, being
Mhm.
present, right? So those who are powerful, y'all, like
Mhm.
get in touch with yourself. Literally, take a day off, maybe put your phone in another room, just go outside. It could
Yeah.
start with that. Something to silence yourself, get back to yourself. I love it. Okay. And to that, I want to get into that with the overstimulation. And I know that's tied in a way, but it's like catching it, you know?
Mhm.
How we go with catching it. And if we do notice, maybe we are self aware where we're seeing um maybe we're not moving along as we think we should, and we're comparing because we're overstimulated and we feel stuck because we don't know how to move due to that. So, what would you advise? I know we have like fast, I'm hearing people do from socials.
Mhm.
What would you advise to creatives to stray away from that overstimulation that turns into stagnation?
Love this question. I'm on a fast myself. I was kind of
Okay.
nervous, like people come and do podcasts with people that are like, follow my Instagram. I'm currently
Mhm.
off Instagram, okay? Just kind of like doing that reset, which is essential. But
Mhm.
I think it goes back to what we were just speaking about in terms of connecting with self. So one,
Mhm.
kind of noticing the signs and symptoms of overstimulation. That can look like brain fog. So
Mhm.
it's feeling like your thoughts are hazy. That can feel like rumination. So rumination is thinking about the same thing over and over again on a loop. And then you also have speeding or racing thoughts. Like you're thinking of so many things at one time, it's kind of hard to latch onto an idea.
Mhm.
Overstimulation can also look like difficulty sleeping, difficulty falling asleep, difficulty staying asleep. It can also look like irritability, like being irritable
Mhm.
with your loved ones, feeling short, maybe road rage. Maybe you're like, chasing grandma down on the highway.
Grandma might chase you back.
No, right. These days, okay. But just kind of being aware of what's going on in your body. And the beautiful thing about mindfulness is it also teaches you how to take care of yourself. When you have a greater awareness of what's going on in your body, you can respond to it in healthy, loving ways. So noticing those signs then helps you respond to it, which we have, of course, getting off of social media. I think any amount of time that you take a break from social media, because getting on your phone first thing in the morning, last thing at night messes up your circadian rhythm. So that impacts your heart rate, your heartbeat, your thought processing, spending time in nature. Okay.
That part.
I
Change your
love
life. We're gonna
outdoors.
change our life.
No, literally just go to the grass. Like go put your feet in the grass, go ground, go get some sunlight, go get some water. Those authentic like vitamins that you can get from your environment cannot be understated. And then lastly, I would say spending time with loved ones, like people who actually know you and feed into the human part of you. I think in this digital age, it's very easy to feel as though you know someone. We all have that one person we follow on Instagram that we follow for a few years. Like, I know
Yep.
her. So spending time with like actual humans in a real
Yeah.
space where you all are disconnecting, I think can help with that overstimulation that we are all experiencing.
Yes, yes. I love all of that because, like you said, the key theme that's running through this all, y'all, is tapping in with soul. That's
Mhm.
all I keep seeing. Like, and I think sometimes, again, you get into your head, but like you said, your body will tell you. So you might be feeling like that ache in your back. You
Mhm.
might be like, where'd that come from? Your stomach might
Sitting
be
all
just
day.
bothering you. You're just getting the jitters in your stomach. So your body is talking to you, and that's the first sign. So how you can only imagine what's really going on in you spiritually, emotionally at that point. Your body is the physical representation of that. So this is the most powerful thing I think y'all could grasp out of this is being in tune with your soul. Like, and it is that simple, but it's not.
Right. If it were easy, we'd all be experts, right? But it's
Exactly.
especially
Exactly.
because like society has begun to move so fast. One
Yes.
of the things you mentioned is, how do you deal with the overstimulation when everyone's doing something or seemingly everyone's putting something out? So when you're in this fast-paced environment, I was watching a podcast with Jay Shetty. I don't know if you're familiar with him,
I
but
think so, yeah.
he was
You're right.
interviewing Michelle Obama, and one of the facts that they dropped is that we now process in a day what previous generations used to process in a lifetime. And that
Wow.
was just so profound, especially when you think about the amount of trauma that we see on a daily basis that we're now just programmed to scroll through. So
Yes.
it really is important that you just slow down, like just
Yes.
slow down and reconnect with self.
Yes. And speaking to that, thank you for that because that's remarkable. I didn't even know that. That made me want to put my phone down for a year.
Right.
I just want to be. I don't know. But like that ties into going into us as Black women, and coming into these creative spaces, sometimes not understanding our worth, or we know our worth and are not being appreciated for our work. And then the trauma we see in our families, in our relationships. So on that realm, speaking specifically to, more to that as being a Black woman, like what would you say to take care of ourselves outside of being creatives as well? Because that's another layer on top of being a creative. Mm-hmm.
This one is a really, really tough one. So in my private practice work, I deal with my favorite population of people to work with is college age Black women. It's just something so dynamic about that age group. And I find that they are often incredibly intelligent, incredibly high achievers, and not just academically. I just want to, academics is just like one lane, but they are often, just full and full of whatever you can think of. But I noticed that they often second guess themselves. So I spend a lot of time just affirming them and asking them what they think and seconding, what they've already said. Just taking time to affirm yourself, but also surrounding yourself with other women who affirm you. That communal space where you're with other like-minded women who pour into you and affirm you, especially women that looks like you. I just can't like overstate the importance. You asked earlier, what was it about? What did I experience that allowed me to kind of branch into the expressive self? And quite honestly, it was working in a Black female-owned practice. One of my mentors, her name is Brittany Hardy, and Brittany changed my life. Like to have another Black female mentor just like pour into me, like want nothing from me, but any opportunity that she sees, like anything that she can put in front of me, or even just like seeing a skill in me and saying like, oh, you should do this, and seeing that seed of self-doubt and being like, no, we're not trying to hear that, you can do this. I think it's super, super powerful. And then quite honestly, like leaning into the ego a little bit, like we are creative, we are dynamic, we are powerful, we are intelligent, we are all encompassing. Like there are not enough adjectives in the world to describe Black women.
That right.
Color.
So checking your names. All right, go ahead.
Taking ownership of that, like really like being in this space with you, like another creative. And I'm sure you've probably worked with other women of color, other Black women, and just really looking around like, no, we really are her. Like we really do have it. And just like
the most educated in the country. We starting the fastest businesses out here. We're doing it.
Literally, and healing the community. Like this is healing work, and we're intentional, and we're like loving, and we're empowering about it. So I think kind of like putting that hat on, like, look at my sisters, like I'm a part of that group, I think is really affirming as well.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that. I was not even expecting that. I thought it was going to be like, do some breath work.
That's it.
But that was like, oh my gosh, it's actually why we do what we do here at RareMaven Media. RareMaven is that Black women being who they are as creatives and stepping outside themselves. So, and being in community with others to be affirmed. So that right there, to say that that's the ticket, is being in community. That's like, again, I can't even say that. I'm just like, wow, it's just being with you, being, again, tapping into you and being around more who are like you and want to be there for you and understand you, because the world wants to disrespect, like Malcolm X said, the Black woman is the most disrespected. So to be in a safe space and a great space around your fellow, sisters, I'm like,
because that's also a return to self, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
People that you surround yourself with are mirrors. Like they're really showing you things in you and show you things in the world and like where you come from. So yeah.
Well, that is beautiful. And I'm so happy you told that story about your former like supervisor and her firm and how it affirmed you, being in that environment, because a lot of times you hear stories of people tearing each other down or things like that. And for every experience, you can say, I can say personally, I can either go former or latter. And I could say the best experience, same thing, was a Black woman who poured into me. And it's up to us to make sure we're pushing that forward, that narrative forward, more than what's hurting us or harming us, because we're better together. So you saying that, in your space, in your progression, that's all we need to hear right now.
Mhm.
Okay, y'all. we need each other. We need each other. And this is what even pushes this brand through at RareMaven, seeing how people come and connect. RareMavens, Black women come from one event. It could be 10 people, 15 people. Girl, what are you doing the next one? I really connect with this person. I really like the experience. And so, wow. All I can say is wow. It was great. Well, okay, we're coming up on a few more questions before we have to wrap. But I would like to say, what would be uh, a key quote or a book or something that throughout this year our Rare Mavens can take into consideration, read, to keep their practices going?
So it's not necessarily something that I've read recently, but it's a quote that I've encountered in my life that has been just true of every experience that I've had. And it is the only way out is through. And to me, that's really profound because in the work that I do, even with like yoga, even with breath work, especially in the mental health space, is getting people comfortable with the idea of discomfort. A lot of times people feel discomfort and they're like, oh, let me run. Like, let me move away from this. This doesn't feel good in my body. But what you find is like going through that discomfort is where the enlightenment happens. Yoga, there's this pose called malasana or yogi squat, and it's where you drop your hips down to meet your feet, and you are kind of like using your elbows to like press your knees wide, and it's a hip opener. And when I tell you, when you first get in that, you're like, oh, let me stand back up. But what we know is that as you age, your hip mobility is one of the first things to go. It makes it difficult to walk. It makes it difficult to sit down, stand up. And malasana actually helps to kind of reverse some of that aging that happens there. And if you can find in your breath, especially in your mind, to kind of breathe through that difficulty, over time it gets easier, not necessarily more comfortable depending on how often you do it, but it has long-term benefits to your health and your overall wellness. Even with mental health, trauma specifically, a lot of people feel like, well, I had this trauma, I need to go in the opposite direction. But really that trauma was there to teach you something. And the more that you sit through it and the more that you process it, especially with the professional, the more things start to open up for you. And it really kind of helps you get to the highest version of yourself. So yeah, the only way out is through kind of welcoming in discomfort or allowing discomfort in that comes to you to kind of see what it has to teach you.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Y'all better write this down. The only way out is through.
Yes.
So we could create that into affirmation. The only way out for me is through. And I love that you said in that as well. That doesn't mean you have to do it alone.
Especially.
You can get support in that. Everyone needs someone. So that's what I love what you said, with the right counsel and support, because that's what some people pray away from. Like, it's just me. I don't know how I'm stuck. But there are people out here to support you.
Okay, get you a therapist. Okay, get you someone to talk to. Like even in yoga, you have yoga blocks. Like a lot of people like, oh, it doesn't look good for me to use the block. Me, I got 4 blocks, okay? And I got one under each hip. I got one under my hand. Like I need all the support that I can get, and I have no shame in asking for support. Like we need each other, like you said. So
yeah. I love that. I'll take the notes. The only way out is through, and y'all have support, okay? And my last question, we have what we call the Rise, Shine, and Thrive song. So whatever you're going through in life, you might have a crazy day. You're like, I got to do something else after this, but I'm going to make it through. And you play that one song. It's going to get you through. What is your song?
It hurts my soul not to have a song in mind because I love music, okay? Music is like literally my life. One song that's going to get me through. Oh my gosh. Well, I can tell you there are two songs that automatically put me in a good mood. The first
Mhm.
one is um it's by Sounds of Blackness, Optimistic,
Okay.
Be Optimistic.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can be optimistic. Like, I'm
Hey.
in there, like, jamming my life away. Because it's like almost Negro spiritual-ish. Like, they have the big
Yes.
voices that come through. It kind of like makes me think of sunshine. And
Mm.
then the other song is oh my gosh, I can tell you. It's by Kali Uchis and one of my favorite bands. They're called Little Dragon.
Okay.
And it's a very uplifting song. It's essentially like talking about getting through your hardest moment and knowing that everything is going to be okay. I can't think of the
Mm.
name of the song, but those will kind of be my top two. Like they automatically make me think of sunshine and getting through
Mm.
what I'm going through.
Oh, I love that. And that just filled the episode, okay? Because it came full circle, and you told us how to grow in this season. Sunshine. That's what we need.
Absolutely.
Sunshine. And Nycole, this has been sunshine. This whole episode. I just want to thank you so much in this time what we've been able to uncover, and I really hope everyone who listened today finds value in this. And I want you to let us know how if people want to reach out to you, get in contact, if they need information about referrals and want to truly seek to get through,
Mhm.
how they can best reach you.
Absolutely. So right now I'm off of social media. So the best way is via email. If you are looking for mental health services, I can be found at successbrand.org. That is a private practice. And it's not just me. They have Black male therapists. They have older Black therapists. And then, of course, myself. So if you're looking for any type of support, you can go to successbrand.org. Then if you are looking for creative arts, expressive arts, or a yoga class, you can find me at theexpressiveself@gmail.com. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome. And don't you have something coming up in Atlanta?
Thank you
Some
for the I
classes.
knew I was going to forget. Yes. I have a yoga series coming up. It'll be held in Grant Park. We're doing it Fridays. We're calling it essentially like a post-week calm down. You know, after you get through the work week and you just kind of need to calm your nerves, exhale
Mm.
of whatever you went through. But yeah, you'll be able to find that on Eventbrite, and it will be under the Expressive Self.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nycole.
Thank you for having me. This was wonderful.
All right. Thank you.